What's up, guys? Welcome back to Crypto Weekly Review, home of the WoofPack. We have another WoofPack live stream. Please, if you are here, if you are present, DCA into the like button. Let's buy the dip on the like button. All right. How we doing today? What's up, Ryan? What's up, Okonda? What's up, Ronald? What's up, TD? He says Hex $4 by tomorrow. Hey, I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to pump up the price for you guys. I'm here on the throne, right? I'm house sitting for Richard over here. I'm trying to keep things bullish and pamping very nicely. I did find some fantastic things on the charts, and everything is looking up and up. Okay, so why don't we jump into that? But first, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Mr. Funding Jim. How are you doing, man?
It's great. I always love these shows. Your 12-minute updates on markets across the board are always entertaining information. You know, you show on camera where you're pulling from, what article, what you've read recently. So I really like how much you invest into the content that you prepare. And then these live streams are just a way to, engage and basically field comments or questions from your audience. So I'm glad to be.
It's definitely a hangout. I do a lot of number crunching. I do like a lot of analysis. Like I internalize this data and then present like my opinion on it. And lately I've been kind of shifting. Like I love data, but my base case is less based on my data and more like the macro trends. I'm kind of leaning away from the data. You can see like Bitcoin is decoupling from the S&P 500. That thing is tanking right now. Bitcoin is taking off. Crypto is looking good as far as charts go. I can't point anything bearish on these charts other than we haven't pulled back. That's literally the only bearish thing you can say. So it's like I'm kind of shifting towards macro and trends. What I've been thinking lately is that cryptocurrency, like markets in general, are kind of more like a beautiful woman. Like it's not all about the hard data, the CPI number, what's the unemployment, what's the jobs number. It's not quite like traditional markets where we're looking for PE ratios and all these numbers. It's kind of like a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? You can't really approach it with, I got a house, I got a supercar, where you should like me. It's more of vibe. And trends and macro trends come from sentiment and vibe. And I've been kind of looking at the sentiment, the vibe, the culture of cryptocurrency, and trying to get confirmation with the data in the charts. It's kind of a little bit long-winded, and I apologize for that. But yeah, so lately I've been really, really shifting away from like this hard stats and hard data, because that's not everything. Because the dumbest things pump, that you don't understand. Like when Dogecoin pumped last cycle, and everybody's like, I hate dog coins. Why? Because they're having fun. Nobody cares about your technical stuff. They're having fun. And so I tend to think if I'm having fun with a project, if I'm having fun with the community, then other people will. And then that's the vibe I'm chasing. That's what pumps. That's what keeps hype. That's what keeps communities. And that's, how price goes up. And with that, I do want to show you my screen really quick, because I do have, let me see. Share screen window. Sorry about this, guys, but here we go. I'll share this screen right here. So here we go. We got the Hex chart, and it did something really, really interesting. Look, Hex is up 220%. Bitcoin is up less than 50%. So we're talking about Hex. Like this is where the hype is. Yeah, right. So I did draw this ascending triangle. We'll zoom in on it just a little bit, and not to pat myself on the back, but look at how gorgeous this is. This is like a textbook example. Like if I was going to teach someone TA, I'd be like, this is an ascending triangle and a measured move that is hit. This was my measured move right here. I moved it over because so this is too busy, but it almost hit, directly to the measured move before it pulled back. But the interesting thing is where it pulled back to. This is something I've never talked about on this channel yet, but you can see this trend line right here. Now, this trend line is the parabola of Hex. Historically, the historic parabola. Check it out. You have this is the ascending triangle. You see this red line here? This is the descending triangle that I drew a year ago, right? That played out. Look at that. waterfall. I mean, this is like a 70% drop. Okay. So this is just a flush down to 2 cents. It's absolutely mind numbing. And with that, you can see with the volume nodes, there isn't much resistance built up here. But anyways, long story short, this is the bear abla of Hex, the very first one, and it is broken. And not only is it broken, but it's also confirming right here. If we can get this candle body closed, it's confirming. And why is this relevant? This is the last bit. All right. Why is this relevant? Because historically, this is how markets move, especially cryptocurrency. I mean, you can see the SPX, it's doing it itself. You can see its bear market trend line. It broke out. Then, but also Bitcoin. Let's go back for a second. I lost my spot here. Okay. But Bitcoin broke its parabola not just once. You can see in the last bear market, it also had one. Now, this is over exuberance blow off top. I'm not going to try to chart over exuberance and order book slippage, but you can see right here, it broke out, right? It broke out right here, and we had this massive rally. And if we go back to 2015, we have a little bit of a parabola here, right? And it broke out in this. So the moral of the story is don't sell here, okay? Don't sell here. And then if we go back to Hex, don't sell here. This is the first parabola breakout for Hex. Don't sell here. Wait, we're going up. Okay. Like things are looking better. Of course, I can't predict the black swan. I don't know, like what something could happen tomorrow. I don't know, but there's nothing on the chart that is telling me that something's going to happen tomorrow. You know how crypto is. It's crazy. So, yeah. And on top of that, I would just like to wrap up the TA with, these volume nodes, okay? You can see we have barely built any resistance. They're not cooperating right now because it's trading view. But you can see these right here. These measure the horizontal volume, right? So you can find places of support and resistance. You can find where the sellers are. You can find where the buyers are. Well, I'll tell you, the sellers are right here about 10.2 cents to about 14 cents. We're out of the woods. Then we have a nice clean break up to 18 cents. So, dude, I'm telling you, like, this shit can slip up to 18 cents very, very quickly. So what do you think about that analysis?
I think it's interesting. I think it's great. Like I think I was commenting in the green room. I didn't really pay attention to the stock market. I didn't really pay attention other than maybe the narrative when I got involved with cryptocurrency on what's available. These patterns that you spend a lot of time, a lot of resources and money basically to learn charting and learn what other traders are looking at, these indicators. And I think that's great. I think that's great information for the audience to understand markets better through charting. And I learned a lot actually from your channel in this kind of content. Not just it helps me with my networking in some ways, for even your macroeconomics commentary. That's why I really like hanging out with you and things like that when we've gone to different events. So this is useful for people that need that confirmation of chart, or they need that confirmation of what liquidity is available, or they want to speculate on where price is going to go. These are just probabilities. They're not guarantees. They're probabilities. And I think you do well with the way that you liaison that kind of information to the general public that watch your channel.
Yeah, and of course there are no certainties, there are only probabilities, the famous old quote, but
yeah, Hammond says it all the
time. Yeah, you can chart, like we were saying earlier, the markets are a beautiful woman, like they're run on emotion. Okay. So these things move. This is just a general consensus of the market. Like, for example, you could see this drop right here, this soggy bottom. This is the bottom, it's riding the parabola, and this is the FTX drop. You can see people panicked, bought up, panicked again, found support, and went up. And it looks like SBF's freaking man boobs. Like, this is terrible, but this is it right here. You can see it feels like we bottomed, we bounced off the parabola, worked through the parabola, found support on it, and then popped through it. Now rejecting the 377, which is the longest EMA. Now rejecting but consolidating there. Can't draw an ascending triangle because we need 3 touches. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen, but it's consolidating at resistance. It's looking good. While the overall markets are looking, terrible. I know that I think the credit card companies extended their credits, increased credits like $88 billion to retail like customers.
Wow.
People are like $1 trillion in credit card debt right now. Household credit card debt or household debt is like 16 trillion, like at all-time highs. The shit's looking bad, you know, like it's looking like inflation came back a little bit hot. I mean, lower than before, but hotter than expectations, especially like the core and the
Yep.
job numbers are like the housing market's hot, the job market's hot. The Fed has more room to supposedly raise rates. Things are looking like we're at the brink of kind of like a financial crisis kind of thing going on.
Yep.
So like with all of that overhead, we're still pumping. What we typically see in the halving cycles is that Bitcoin will break away from the S&P 500 and do its own thing during the halving cycles. I think it's a little bit early. There's a lot of risk here, but I'm buying. Like I'm buying, and if it does flush, I'm rocking it out to the next halving, to the next,
Yep.
things like that. So what are your plans? What do you got going on? What's your strategy to make it through this kind of uncertain, crazy time?
Well, I've commented a lot, and some people don't like it when I say it, but I still like real estate. I still rotate, and I into real estate and during euphoria, whether it would have been stock market or other asset classes. If I had moved into real estate, I like building and I like supporting startups and the arbitrage of rental rates. I still like that in industry. I think it helps me a lot with networking to bring the ideas of Hex or Pulsechain or PulseX to people that otherwise wouldn't engage cryptocurrencies. They have heard maybe probably of Bitcoin, and they have established something in their head about what Bitcoin is. And then later they might hear the word Ethereum, and they also have created a go-to, whether it's positive or negative, about what is Ethereum. But the new idea in their head is Hex or Pulsechain or PulseX. And it's when people like myself or you engage with these new audiences. Like that's what I care about. I like real estate, and I rotate into it to support bridge making with other people that also believe in real estate, that don't know anything about crypto, or they don't know anything about Hex if they know something about crypto. Like I like it for marketing also. And these things have at least over 13 or 14 years shown a cycle, and that cycle is similar to your charting. If you show a pattern that's forming on, head and shoulders or cup and handle or all these kinds of, ascending or descending triangles, these are just reference points. And people say, what's going on in the market? They want to go to a chart. The same sort of thing when it says what's going on in crypto, they probably want to go to this halvening thing, because it gets comments, it gets influencers, it gets new people new to the marketplace asking what is in a stream like this, even what is the importance of halvening, and then how does that impact the price movement of other things, not Bitcoin. So I like a lot of that kind of commentary. I think it's great for engagement, and it opens up conversation with other people, with people that aren't so hard set in a bias.
Yeah, man. And a little bit about to jump around a little bit. My theory with Pulsechain, first off, I want to say that it's soon, because I don't want any static with HVID on Twitter. I don't need her blowing up on
She will
me.
get you. She'll get you.
It's hours away. Okay. But one thing I wanted to mention, one thing I was looking at is, I think what's going to drive adoption into Pulsechain is what we originally had, what it's originally designed to do, is to horizontally scale Ethereum, because I think we are going to have a completely clogged Ethereum and a completely clogged Bitcoin. These ordinals are in Bitcoin. They're clogging up the network. The mempool is looking like a freaking World Cup after party. It's just jam-packed. It's crazy. It's filled with a bunch of nonsense. You got like Bitcoin rocks. You can see they're selling for 3.68 BTC at auction. Dude,
Wow.
That means that someone paid 3.68 BTC for one Satoshi. Go
Wow.
figure. Okay. So
Wow.
whatever, like we were saying, this is vibe, right? Bitcoin's vibing on this. People want to do this. Somebody paid $280,000 for a fart on the Bitcoin network, and that this is what guys wanted. This is what's hype. Don't hate it. Don't fight it. But it's going to be clogged. It's going to be full, and all of that like potential, it's going to overflow like a cup overflowing into other things, layer twos, like scaling solutions. Like Polygon's going to do very well. Ethereum's going to get a lot of that washout from Bitcoin, and then that's going to get jam packed. When we first did this move, Gwei got up to like 154. It was ridiculous. It was like crippled, and that's nothing yet. That's nothing. When the bull run starts, for instance, I did see a report where like there was about 1 million new tokens that came out in 2022. 1 million. And then there's only 40,000 that survived, and 10,000 of those are believed to be scams with this online with this blockchain analytics thing. What do you think is going to happen when the bull run starts and these NFTs start jam packing the network? All that money, all that capital, all that interest and potential has to go somewhere. And when that thing overflows into, if we can get that overflow into Pulsechain, if it's like, hey, dude, you already have all this same shit over here, all you got to do is flip a button and there you go, come on over. I think that it's going to be wildly successful. And actually, I did some fun math. And look, people are DMing me on Twitter. People DM me on a Telegram and they're asking me, hey, Brand, what do you think? What do you think the price of Pulsechain is going to be? I'm like, dude, that's like impossible to figure out. But I did think of a formula, right? And it's silly and it's really raw, so don't judge me. But so check this out. So I got some targets for you for Pulsechain, because mental masturbation prevents blue brains, right? So right now, let's take a look here on ETH. Oops, I have it on tech. So ETH right now is about 1,600, right? So Pulsechain, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but Pulsechain is diluted by 10,000 times, right? So we're pretty much at the bottom of the bear market here with Ethereum. Its market valuation is about 200 million, right? So let's say divide that by 10,000x. You have Pulsechain. If Pulsechain becomes what Ethereum is in the bottom of the bear market, which is 200 billion in market cap, you're looking at 1.67 pennies. Would be if you juxtaposed it, right? So now I've always said, because I watched like some of these layer ones like Phantom and all these other things, and a lot of times these things top out, or these experimental coins top out about 50 billion historically, right? It's a new market. The market caps are going to be way more inflated, but let's just go with that 50 billion, right? So then you just divide that by 4. So then you get a reasonable target is like 0.004 would be a quarter of Ethereum in the bottom of the bear market, right? So I don't think it's unrealistic to be like on this with this model that I have, which is a raw, crude model, because we don't really know market cap, blah, 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 right? It wouldn't be too crazy to think that it'll go to, 0.004. I don't know.
Well, again, these other things that have launched as EVM or as Ethereum competition have always said, this is our fork, or this is our brand, and we're going to popularize the brand and then bring your economic energy over. Like that's been the thing, right? Even every platform since 2017 has been a Ethereum killer in their narrative. And as much as Hex has been gate kept, and Richard and Hexicans either get positive or negative feedback from others, this is the first time that you've had a fork of the entire system state, and you've had a collaborative kind of energy. Like we're still people that defend our position and all the different narratives that Richard's put out in the past that we end up echoing or reframing. And that's one thing. But like, I don't think of it as a negative thing to horizontally scale Ethereum. Ethereum has proven itself over 7 years of history to, have intention. In 2015, I think was the ICO. 18 months or 2 years later was the launch of the first version with nothing on it. And then the smart contracts and all the different things that people put as endpoints developed, right? Now you basically should be, in my opinion, horizontally scaling. It is where you can say, here is what the different tools in DeFi are available, and now you have less transaction cost. I don't think it's harmful when the way that we're framing this potential fork. And think about it, has something new on Ethereum as far as an endpoint, a new product or project or something that became cult popular, like NFTs and things like that. Have there been new things since March of 21? Because March of 21 is the first time that Richard said Pulse Chain, and July is when the sacrifice set, right? So like this delay, maybe it's reframing to make it a positive spin. I'll give you that, but like I don't think it's harmed things that this has been a delay. When it launches, there's just more things that can participate. And if Ethereum gas prices are expensive, which they tend to be right now, even at this $1,700-$1,800 range, wherever Ethereum is, still relatively expensive to do small transactions. $7, $8, $10, $15, kind of stuff is what I'm seeing as a normal.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Yeah, I like that you said Pulse Chain isn't an Ethereum killer. Like it is it's a horizontal scalement. It's like taking up all of the over excess, like the overflowing cup. Like it's not an enemy to Ethereum. With Pulse Chain is complementing Ethereum is kind of what I got from you. And I think that's a really good point. It's not trying to be an Ethereum killer. I don't think. Maybe when it was trying to be.
Do you think it's better? Do you think it's better that grocery stores all were one monopoly, that all of the grocery stores in the United States were one company, and you could only buy groceries at one point, and then the products within that grocery store, from cheese to apples to whatever it is, beef and such, all of those things were the endpoints of value, and you could only buy them through one route of grocery stores. Like, no, we have different brands, and they present similar, if not the same identical product, just in different outlets. And they're going to have their value narratives on, this is the discount place where you can buy your detergent. This is the expensive place where, you feel good because it has more graphics and different, everyone's in uniform or whatever it is. Like, we have markets that work right now in tangible things that we've had access to all of our lives. And still, there's no uniform single point to buy all of your groceries. It's the same with Ethereum. Like Ethereum has proven itself that being able to peruse the aisles of what's available, and then being able to, through smart contracting code, transact with others or transact with contracts, that has value. And if you can present the cheese and the apples in a different system, that's not trying to knock. We're not trying to knock Ethereum off the throne. I don't think.
No.
Like some people may have the position that Pulse Chain will be the everything, but I think it will just too.
Not until they come up with Shanghai, remember? Because we're waiting for that. And that was cool about Richard's update, was that they were talking about, Aragon, it seems like they're working on two different fixes. They're trying to fix the original sync, and they're trying a different one. Like they restarted it to something else without the bug in it. And they're going to see which one is better at the end. And then he also said that we're waiting for Shanghai. And that's, of course, the update for Ethereum, where the stakers can finally withdraw. Because, the CEO of Ethereum didn't allow withdrawals, okay? Some people say it was a bug.
It's been like 2 years of Ethereum being staked and not withdrawable. And, again, he's not saying that it won't launch, the Pulse Chain won't launch before Shanghai.
Right.
What I hit in the nuance of what he had texted or put into Twitter was, that's the unstaking mechanism. And, Famous is another guy that makes a lot of commentary inside the Hex community. And I was just on a Twitter space with him, and he was talking about, like, what is the percentage of APY that Ethereum people that have staked their Ethereum, they've been locked up for some time. what is that yield? What is their
It's
Ethereum on
it's
Ethereum return?
they're saying the average. They're saying that the average is 2 ETH that they earn.
Mm.
So there's supposedly in the first round of unlocks, there's going to be about 1 million ETH in rewards and 36,000 ETH in penalties because some of these validators are kicked off the network. They're projecting that about $880 million is going to become liquid, and that is about 1% of Ethereum's daily volume. And they're projecting that this report that I read is projecting that it's not going to do much to the price when Shanghai actually does unlock. It's going to be a bit of a nothing burger. And, like I was saying, where are you going to get 4% yield right now? Why would you, if you're validating, just keep validating. People are going to dump some rewards. The market's going to react. There might be a little bit of a panic dump, but I think it's going to get bought up very, very quickly. Yeah. So Shanghai should be in March. So they're saying they're going to launch without Shanghai. That makes me think that Pulsechain version 3 testnet is very close. That's what makes me think, because if they're like talking about Shanghai, like, oh yeah, we're not waiting for Shanghai. Well, I mean, yeah, that means you're probably going to try to do the V3 before Shanghai, So that's super, super bullish. And I think that's really bullish for Hex. So if you want, I'm going to share the screen here. This is something that you tweeted, and I thought it was fascinating. And I went down this rabbit hole, and I made it all the way down to Uniswap V3 options. But so I was just looking at this, and you were talking about why is the liquidity in Hex so far below the current price. And this is relevant to Pulsechain because, of course, Hex is going to be the most liquid pair once it goes live. So when V3 comes out, all these newbies, all these Ivan on Tech followers, BitBoy followers, these guys are both in PLSX. These guys are going to be like, okay, so if I want in early, I got to get Hex, ride it through the fork, and then switch my P-Hex into Pulsechain, and I still got Hex. That's a no-brainer, bro. Like, this is going to make Hex go absolutely crazy, and I think into 10 cents very easily. But so now that we're talking about Hex, right here, you could see the liquidity is set like 17, like the main chunk of liquidity, if you want to actually get out, is set like negative 17% from current price all the way down to negative 50%. And we were talking about, does that mean that people are providing liquidity down there to penalize people who are big dumpers? That, dude, you're gonna slip through like negative 17% like that, and then the slippage is going to be absolutely crazy and disincentivizing the dump. You think that's what it is? You think it's like, in a sense, a buy wall, like if you were on a traditional exchange, something like that?
Well, I've been paying attention to Ethereum, honestly, as an LP longer than I have paid attention to Hex's LP. I always thought it was a relatively thin market. And if people want to move the price, then Richard has set it up, or others have set it up as far as what LP they put in there, to where the price can move like it has over the past, 24 hours, 40, very, very dramatically. And to me, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. Like, are you on V3 Uniswap? Are you providing liquidity for fees, and you're trying to earn? Like, that's most of us. Most of the relatively low LP providers are probably looking at, I can make a couple $100 a day, right? Being an LP that's very narrow in range. Or you say, am I putting LP in there and managing whether it gets pulled or put because you want to slow down sells, and people that sell, they actually exit out completely, like their bag is now sold at a relatively low point, because that's why that looks so thick on the image that you showed, is as they eat into that liquidity, they are exhausting their potential to sell in the future, because now they're out, right?
Yeah, and the LP guys, obviously they're giving them USDC because it's like an equilibrium scale. So they're giving them USD. They're essentially buying the dip.
Yeah.
So these LP guys are brilliant. They're like, okay, I'll provide liquidity down here so I avoid impermanent loss, but also I'm buying the dip essentially because you already slipped 17%. You already slipped 17% to be able to get out. Meanwhile, it's blue skies up ahead, like no liquidity up here. So let's, for instance, if you buy $1 million worth of, if you have $1 million in USDC, you get 13.77 million hex, right?
Yep.
So it's slipping both ways. So if you flip that around, to get $1 million, you're going to need 16 million hex.
Yep.
You know, and the more you got, the bigger a whale you are, the worse it is. You know, because you could put 10 million to get 10 million. If you have $10 million, you'll get 26 million hex, right?
Yep.
And the price is going to go up. It's going to 80%. So like we're almost going to be like, let's see, we're almost at 7 cents. We're almost going to be like, we'll be at 12 cents. If some dude came in with $10 million, that's it. Like
Yep.
this shit, like in Bitcoin and regular cryptos and stuff, this is like every day people come in and out, 20, 30 million, whatever, no problem.
Yep.
$10 million. Now the God Whale bought $10 million this much. It's rumored that John McAfee did, because it was right after I watched John McAfee's stream with Richard. Remember that? It went up 10. Now, I don't know. I'm not a big chain analysis guy, but like this shit happens. Like this will double the price. Okay. 10 million will double the price, but let's switch it around.
John McAfee did a stream also with Hexologist. You know,
He did?
streams.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a likable guy, a cool guy. So let's say you have 500 million because it was not loading. It's like breaking the thing. Say you have 500 million hex.
Oh my God. What kind of slippage is this?
Okay, let's see. Well, this would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So one more, right? There we go.
Yeah.
So if you have, you know, you get, am I seeing that right?
Is that backward? Oh my God. I think you added a 0 and you got less money.
Hold on. Are you serious? Yeah, dude. Okay. So let's count the zeros here, because
so 10x as much hex.
this is making me cross-eyed. Okay. So this is, so this is 50 million, right? Am I right? 50. And then you go 3 zeros and 3 zeros. Yeah.
So that's 50 million. Take out the decimal.
Okay, yeah, just counting zeros here because I'm going cross-eyed looking at all these damn zeros.
Well, look at what happened. So
okay,
50 million hex was $3 million worth of USDC. Add one more 0.
Okay, now it's up. Okay, at first it went down. I was like, this is the craziest shit ever. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, you get $7 million. We'll see if you have 5 billion. What happens?
Yeah, so again, you were around 3 million before, but you 10x'd the amount of hex, and you only got a little bit more than double the amount of cash.
Okay, so if you have 5 billion, you get 4 million.
Yeah.
So you get less.
Yeah.
So
it's the same thing that I heard many people that had pretty significant Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that, 5 years ago, 6 years ago in conversation, was they couldn't really exit. Like they had so much that they had to go through these other endpoints or other protocols that were launched on top of Ethereum. And I think that's why a lot of the Bitcoin people actually, publicly, they might talk about, sovereign money and the Bitcoin standard and, the world's going to be all Bitcoin and things like that. But privately, they dilute themselves, if they choose to, by going through other things. Like today I had a tweet response, at least, to Simon Dixon. And Simon Dixon was, he was lamenting or crying over the mountain of paperwork that he has to deal with during the Celsius bankruptcy. And he has been a VC in a lot of these different platforms. His own product, I think, was Bank to the Future and things like that during ICO times. And like, his position, OG in Bitcoin, he's been talking about Bitcoin for 10 years, but he can't exit actually through only Bitcoin. Like he can't just sell Bitcoin, make profit, play dips, and buy again. He has to go through a lot of these platforms because he's too big in the system. And I think that that's what a lot of people, whether it's Roger Ver or Richard or God Whale or whatever, they have to support other endpoints. So maybe that's part of the whole Ethereum value proposition. Is you talked about 1 million new tokens. If you talk about like all the different things that are on top of the network of Ethereum, you have a 20x on an endpoint, and you have a 2x on Ethereum. Like, why wouldn't you speculate in that way instead of just only playing the Ethereum coin, trade.
That is a brilliant point, man. I did not ever even think about that. Like guys like Roger Ver, they really can't get out. They have too much coins to get out. So they're really looking for other protocols to swap their BTC for. And then you become kind of like, some sort of a god whale, where it really means nothing to you. It means nothing to you. Like you're looking for exit points. You might find something you like. Maybe that's what God Whale was doing. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get in early on this thing, and hopefully I can dump some of this ETH without destroying the marketplace because I'm a freaking God Whale, And then he's like, this is kind of fun. And then, he's been doing a lot of crazy stuff lately. He emergency end staked his stakes, gave a big bonus to everybody, to us all stakers. And then he rolled all of that, like 3 billion something hex into a short-term stake. And that is going to pump up the T-share rate. So like, in a way, what you told me was ringing in my head. And I was like, dude, he's trying to make hex more scarce because that's a whale doing whale things. Eventually, he's going to off ramp somewhere, pulse chain, something like that, when there is enough liquidity, where he can actually pull some out. And God bless him, whatever. If he does, he does, But yeah, that makes total sense. And never, ever even thought about it in that light before, that it's too big to get out.
Like there's things that you can try to like almost those numerology things where you try to start recognizing numbers or patterns that you see all the time. And recently, I'm sure this is the same kind of tinfoil hat stuff. Recently, I realized that Richard would say, delegated proof of stake, and it would be 33 validators. And people would ask, why 33? Why not 32 or 35? What's the reasoning? And some people would say, oh, Jesus was 33 and John Belushi was 33 and all these other kinds of conspiracies about why the number 33. 33, by coincidence, I'm sure it's simply coincidence, is day 33 was the cheapest that you ever could have bought a hex during the AA. Day 33 was 283 ETH, bought 511 million hex. And if you do the math of what ETH was worth at the time, that means you could have had 511 million hex for $38,000. Now, if you say, like, I think recently Matty Allen had done some stream. I hadn't seen all of the content, but I think he was doing the math and looking at chain analysis to see that $6,000 equaled $4 billion worth of economic energy. Now, of course, you can't exit $6 billion through hex all at one time. You're going to have 99% slippage or 100% slippage. And people tend to think, that's why I was highlighting before this stream, your friend Somi, his video recently. It seems like you said, it's a little, some of it for some people may seem like noob content. But what was interesting in what he was saying is people think that the liquidity that's available in Bitcoin and the billions and billions of dollars worth of market cap and how much trades on a daily basis, that means that someone, even a single person, couldn't crash the price. That's not true, man. Like a single person, like a Roger Ver, he was doing the math and showing that Roger put in $288,000 into, I don't know how many, 160,000 Bitcoin, or when it was $1, I guess it was 280,000 Bitcoin, right? So he bought at $1 Bitcoin, 280,000 worth. And all of these guys, Simon Dixon, Roger Ver, probably Richard Hart, because these guys all started in the same way. If they figured out early on how to limit how quickly they get diluted through trading in and trading out, even buying the dip and things like that, like being an expert trader, already only 2 or 3% can actually make a lot of money in trading. And a majority of people, 60 to 70%, have net loss. And if you take into account their brokerage costs and things like that, it even goes up to like 80 or 85% of traders. So it's good to have information, but after you have information, you really need to, in my opinion, look at the protocol, look at the community, look at the aligned incentive of whales and minnows in this kind of protocol. Like I really like Hex because like Johnny Chaos says recently was, you can play the game and collect chips, and you're actually incentivized to help other people collect their chips. And we talk about like staking and things like that, but like it's really, people think that there's a lot of dollar value in just about every asset class, stock market, real estate, but no matter how many times we say it, if your neighborhood decides all in once to sell their house, and it might be a neighborhood of only 400 or 500 houses, your price is going to the floor. Like your house is not going to sell because human beings suspiciously will be like, why is that guy selling his house along with the other 400 people? Like, what is going on? And we get we're triggered over these stampedes in any direction. Even when you were saying, which is true, hey, we need a pullback because charts show pullback. But then when you see people see a price of 6 or 7 cents on Hex, and they're like, wow, I'm ahead. Like I bought it 3 or 4 cents and now I've doubled my money effectively. When they actually look at the trade and they want to exit out small 150, 50,000, 100,000 kinds of levels, they can exit out and still be high margin. They made a lot of money. But if you're I've got several billion Hex and I want to exit out at 6 cents, that ain't happening. Like you have to support other things in the ecosystem. Hedron, all these different Maxi kinds of things, Maximus kinds of protocols, even investing into marketing or influence and things like that are helpful to the whole ecosystem and allowing you to exit 50x versus 0.1x.
Yeah, that's how you think. You're thinking like a whale, right? And a couple of good points that you had. We kind of talked about this in Twitter Spaces, and we were talking about it in the beginning of the show. Is like, where is the trend and where is the hype, and what coins survive and what coins don't survive? Is the ones that have the community, the ones that have the hype. Richard did a really great job of building it, even though the Hex community can be crazy and implodes all the time. Remember, we said it's kind of like WWE at times. It's always on Twitter. It's always bickering, fighting, all these things, divisions and people coming back and all that. But that's really the glue that's keeping it alive. And it really shows, during the bear market, Hex was one of the most active Twitter communities out there, like kind of kept it going during the slow times. And what happened? Well, it pumped 220% in 2023. You know what I mean? And like, what's I would say Bitcoin is probably the second biggest. I don't know, man. Bitcoin might be the biggest, but I'm in such an echo chamber that I think that Hex is the biggest, because I see more Hex tweets than that. But how did it do though? It's up less than 50%. So I think it's very, very important to spot these things. And like the trend is showing you that the hype is in Hex, that they didn't die, even though the worst case scenario, we had Richard Hart's drag show. We had the SEC, everything, Gary Gensler even stepped in. Now he's the real Ethereum killer, So all of this happened, but everybody was active. And it's such an eclectic, diverse, like group of guys, the only thing they have in common is like the flat build hat thing. And like these guys, they're like skateboarders, like talented guys, like there's like rappers and singers. And it's like become a community, but it's also kind of like a praxology because, they kind of followed the first principles of Richard Hart. So it's almost like a weird, it's very tight knit. It's very strong. It's a little cultish. It was the most active during the bear market in my eyes. And what happened? It popped 220%. This is what I was talking about. When you spot a trend and then you confirm it on the charts, you know what I mean? So it just kind of all aligns to me. It can be frustrating at times because it's such an active, vibrant, crazy community, but it's definitely shown you it's here to stay,
Yeah, so, even Ivan was saying that. I posted a clip from his stream earlier, and he's got his website or his tokenomics kind of display. And he was saying, the Hexicans, the most active, the most engaged on Twitter. If you're looking for engagement, tag the Hexicans. So, and he's like, I want my pulse, I want my PLS. Like, it's the same sort of thing. I see some of your commentators asking these kinds of questions too about like which will perform better, PLS, PLSX, Hex. Like, I think we've had 3 years worth of examples and commentary, both from Richard or other people in influence. And if, if their information has impacted price, that's great. If their analysis is a trend and it popularizes, that's great. So I think we have a lot of this, like, never sell for scrape or yield. That kind of mentality is built into just about everything that's launching on top of PLS and PLSX that's going to be popular. Like, obviously Hex, the idea about it being fork or being first opportunity before there's a bridge to any kind of dollar value or exit through Ethereum, like, that's a narrative that's been out there for a year and a half. And then the same sort of thing with other, newer pitches. Again, everyone needs to do their own research. They need to, not financial advice. You can always have protocol and smart contract risk, but outside of that, like the narrative of Power City and liquid loans and other things are, that they're building into their protocol things that have worked on Ethereum, and they're modifying or adapting it for Pulsechain. So, like, the vibrancy, I think, is there for a lot of these other endpoints to allow whales, sharks, minnows to multiple.
Yeah, and I think if you take that theory that's been around for a year and a half, is like Hex is going to be the most liquid pair. So if you missed it, jump in Hex. But don't forget, there's like a lot of blue chips on Pulsechain too now. You got PLSB, you got the ASICs. It's still mining. I don't know what the ASICs will be for after, but you got Pulse Doge, liquid loans, things like that. These guys are going to be first movers, and that's where the liquidity is going to be. That's where the buying and selling and trading and speculation is going to be. So that's why I'm not selling any of my like airdropped coins and stuff. This is what's going to be the top trading ones when Pulsechain does come out. And I think it would be selling way too early, to be getting in there. I mean, it's not even out. If we go back to my theory of the parabola of how this is just breaking out right here, just like back in the last bear market, why would you sell right here? Don't sell right here unless kids need braces or something. Like, why? Don't just ride it up. So yeah, what was the question again? Here's what my theory is, because I actually spent a lot of time thinking about this. I think Hex is going to pump first. I think P Hex is going to spill into PLS. I think PLSX is going to spill into PLS, because we already know that all the late people who are trying to come into Pulsechain went into PulseX, and they're going to be swapping. So I'm going to be doing the opposite, right? So I'm going to be buying PLS with my PLSX. Of course, I'm not going to be a crazy, like, go all in or anything, but I'm going to be buying what I believe is going to be the dip on PLS as a speculative play, maybe like 5 to 10% of my PLS. Like, I'm going in, because that thing really has pumpamentals, like buyback and burn and all these things. I'm interested in that. So I think Hex is going to pump into the fork like crazy. Like, I think it's going to be beyond what you imagine, right? Yeah. We looked at the liquidity bonding over here. Like, I think it's going to be crazier than you think. I'm not trying to sell right now, right here. Now, of course, I could be wrong. There's no certainties. There are only probabilities. But guess what? There is the bear market trend line right there. And we just broke out of it. I'm not trying to sell here. This bitch is going to go whoop, in my opinion. Now, so Hex and then PLS is going to be the big winner. And when that thing is going euphoric and crazy, I'm going to buy PLSX with it. And then I think that's the only move that I'm going to do. Maybe P-Hex, if everyone's just all the people who bought Hex for the Pulsechain fork and wanted to get PLS, they're going to be dumping P-Hex like crazy. I'm going to slide into that one too. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to play the volatility. I'm not going to do anything different. I'm just going to play the macro trends and hodl and sit. Like you said, a small fraction of traders actually make it. I'm not trying to trade, especially a launch. That's suicide, Oops, don't say that word on YouTube. But, that's like not a very smart idea. So that's going to be my play and my move. And I can't freaking wait. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's kind of how I'm going to play it. The other thing is,
well, there's 5 products, 6 products maybe, that will ping pong, in my opinion. And like you just said, you walked through it. Like, there's P-Hex, which are the fork, and then the fork People some are gonna ratio trade. Then there's gonna be commentary on YouTube and on Twitter about, look at what this person did with ratio trade. There'll be all this kind of observant commentary. And then, like I can agree with, what people seem to be echoing, which is, PLS, people want PLS. They understand PLS just like they understand Ethereum. They're basing it on the network or the infrastructure more than the DEX initially. And then, if there is a high ratio, like, you have to have your mentality and say, if it costs me 4 PLSX in order to get a single PLS, like, how much slippage am I willing to accept on my PLSX bag to get PLS? Like, and then your analysis, if you're doing it without emotion and you're trying to put numbers to table, you would have to say PLS has to outperform 4 times as well in my time horizon for me to give up PLSX, right? It has to be 4 times as good for me to give up 4 PLSX for 1 PLS. Like, you can run the math about supply and all these other kinds of things.
Yeah, and we'll be doing that too, guys. So hit the sub. That's brilliant. They're finding a nice ratio to see if it makes sense, because all these things are speculative. Like, we're in price discovery.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing to do is just sit where you're at. But of course, I'm not going to, because I'm looking for opportunity, and the opportunity is in the beginning. Okay. Yeah. And I'm only going to risk a small portion of my portfolio. But yeah, we're definitely going to have this analysis when it comes out. So sub if you want to be part of that. But that's a brilliant way to do it.
I want to support your channel. And this is one reason why I'm really happy about when I come on your channel is I think that you reason things out. You get feedback from your counter traders that are a part of your Telegram group and things like that, and they have their own narratives about what they think is going to be valuable in the marketplace. And I like more information instead of less information. I don't want siloed information. And it's interesting because you, like I said, you bring, here's the source of your information, here's your analysis, and then whether it's biased or not, your audience can decide. Like, I like that you provide good background on what you say. A lot of people get on stream and they just go with all their sentiment and all of their feels. And I prefer people that at least bring some data to the table. And that's why I like your channel.
Yeah, I like that. I really appreciate you say that. Right. I'm in a kind of like a box, it's really hard. I went to a crypto meetup in my town the other day, and there was 10 guys, right? 10 dudes, and all had different opinions. I'm wearing my Hex watch face with the price tracker there,
That's awesome.
and which is free. It's in the description.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, Hex, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, do you realize now this is my first day here and I'm hella opinionated, and they're all like friends, I'm like, all right, do you wonder why there's only 10 people here? Because crypto is so tribal, and I'm not the kind of guy that holds my tongue. Remember, like with Mark Moss, with
Jason Hart, with Mark,
like, dude, shut up. I don't hold my tongue. I don't care who you are, So like, I'm telling these guys, I'm like, yeah, there's only 10 people here because you're tribal. I'm down with everything. I'm down to ride, Yeah. So I paint myself in this box, like during the bear market, I was trolling Hexkins, trolling Richard, trolling everybody, and then now I flip flop, but I'm just bullish because things are bullish. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like continue on that route, when things are looking good. I don't have anything bad to say. I was just reporting on how I saw it in an unbiased way, and people didn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the box that I painted myself in. And it's so tribal in crypto that it's like, well, you're not a real Hexagon, and we're not going to pay attention to you. And we're going to pretend like you don't exist because you said something we don't like. And it's like, what are we in 5th grade? Grow a pair, like I look at things, the point of the WoofPack, the reason why we call it that is we look at things, we look at the market without our feelings involved in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I sold 45 cents, is because I wanted it to be $1 too. And I wanted to cure cancer, and I wanted it to be a panacea and cure aging. I wanted all that shit too, but it looked a little hot. And I thought, I'm going to get out. And I told people, hey, now's the time to get out because I sold because of Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wanted to hear it. Everybody ignored me. And they promoted like other people that are saying, if you're stupid if you don't buy, like there's a lot of influencers that were giving you like these explanations of charts that didn't make sense, and we're like telling you're an idiot if you don't buy. You just don't get it. You don't get it. You're not smart enough to get it. I was like, bro, I was trying to say like, no. And those guys are celebrated, you know, but I'm a turd in a punch bowl because I told you to sell at 45 cents. These guys told you to buy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the one not accepted. You know what I mean? So it's very hard because also I like macro and I like, you know, Bitcoin. I like ETH. I like other stuff. You know, I'm actually from the community that hates hexagons. I'm from that community. And like coming here because I made a shit ton of money and this is where the hype is, and I'm not involving my emotions on whether or not they hate me, like me. I'm not making decisions based on that. I'm making decisions based on my portfolio and like completely cold, emotionless. That's how you survive as a trader, right?
Right.
So, anyways, the long story short is I'm in a box of like the community that I'm from, like apes and regular crypto guys won't fuck with me because I like hex. Hexicans don't like me because I'll troll or I don't fit into their box of maxi, richer heart maxi. Yeah. So I'm kind of like in this weird limbo, and it's kind of hard to punch through, and it's a little bit frustrating and stuff like that. But the people who are like in this community, they tend to be like really red pilled based people that like grew up the way you and I grew up. We talk about that, you know, like we grew up on Dave Chappelle, we grew up on South Park, we grew up on Family Guy, we grew up on giving each other shit, you know, like that you can have a different opinion and I'm not gonna like hate you. We're cool. Like you can do, and I have my own different opinion. And if you can sway me over, I'll switch my opinion. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not into this that culture of you're with us or against us. You know what I mean? But at the same time, yeah. Anyways, I did kind of go off on a tangent there. I do have a question from TD. He's a true OG. He says,
first off, before you get to that, I saw that Mr. Big Payday became a member, and then it looks like he also gifted.
No way. Where?
It's showing in the screen. Shoot. So someone, Mr. Payday became a member, and then the next thing I think it says that he gifted something. I don't know what that means, but probably want to recognize that.
I've never seen that. Okay, damn. Okay, so this is really interesting. Hey, thank you, Mr. Big Payday. Shout out to you. I appreciate that. And also, let's jump into what TD said. Okay, TD said that the trend is not his friend anymore because he was hoping for
1.8 cents.
Yeah, he wants 1.8 cents. Well, check this out, bro. So this happened to me too. Okay, I did a giveaway at under 2 cents, and I didn't buy. So how do you think? Remember, you have to divorce your feelings from your trading strategy, because if you're emotional, these markets are gonna chew you up and spit you out. That's the difference between a successful trader, a successful investor, and a not one. So look, we were down here and I called. If you look at my old videos, I swear to God, you know, when I sold 45 cents, I was saying we're going to a penny. I wasn't the only one. There's a few people saying that. It was a narrative. You know, we went to 1.7 cents. I didn't buy. Look where I bought it. If you look at I bought up here, bro. I bought at like 2.8, somewhere in this candle. I bought after the Federal Reserve meeting because my base case was that we're going to pump because inflation was cool, blah, blah, blah. So this is when I bought. How do you think I felt, man? Like that's almost like twice. That's almost twice as much. And then again, I bought at 45 cents. That's almost twice as much. You know, if I was like, oh, this is painful, I can't do it, I got to wait for it to come down, I would have missed the train, you know? And of course, now at this point, you know, I haven't been selling stakes. I'm happy with where I'm at, but I have capital to deploy if we have some crazy lunatic that wants to slip the price back down to 3 cents. I mean, dude, this thing is telling you right here. This is where the guys who are providing liquidity, the guys who are moving this market, the guys who are actively moving the hex market and making the hex market, these guys are making the market here. So anywhere between 5.5 cents and 3 cents is a buy. So I'm not going to pretend to be smarter than this. I'm just going to take this data point and do it. And if I get so lucky, otherwise, you know, like I would start collecting and buying dips TD. So, and I think that, you know, you could easily, like you said, Funding Jim, yesterday you told me 4 or 7x is in the cards before Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
And I think it could go dumb.
Yeah.
I think it could blow your mind.
Well, you saw the reaction of just the post of here we are in the process. Like, you know, it was the most data dump that we've gotten. And it was only really 3 or 4 paragraphs of content from Richard, right? About where we're at. And you saw the reaction. The reaction was like, I guess we were 5 cents and went to 6.8 or something, 6.7. I don't know where we were.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's just that. And someone else made a tweet, and it was something along the lines of, I think it might have been B Roots. It was saying something like people, it wasn't that they gave up on Richard or the product in order to sell. They were just, you know, time. And you can see the reaction when there's new details of information. We are linked to Pulsechain's news narrative, and we will be linked in price. There'll be a lot of volatility around, here is the test net. And then there'll be commentary both by Richard or commentators like us about did the test net that got released, and now you can go to the website and you can participate with your play around with your test net coins. Was that with the fixer bot? If it was, then we're going to play with a new version. And here's as the fixer bot moved all the liquidity from the other dexes into only PulseX, and here's the farming and the staking rewards, and here's how you can ROI as a validator. Like, a lot of that content will come out on the next testnet, because a lot of it will be closer to being finalized for mainnet. And I don't know that Richard or anybody that could make the choice will decide to allow us to play with testnet before FixerBot or testnet because FixerBot has run. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. We didn't get to play with the output of a
do you think that the liquidity bot that you're talking about, do you think that's the key? Like, if that's, like, we're looking for like bullish, crazy cases, you know. One thing that you talked about last time we were on stream, by the way, Hex is 3x since then.
Yeah.
But the one
I told
thing
you, it's the crypto weekly review pump.
So one thing we were talking about is, what are the signs, right? Because we're speculating and we have capital to deploy and we're wondering what the heck's going on. What are the signs? And you were saying last time, it was like, okay, when you start seeing the influencers, you know, like the server rack, you were telling about that. You see the influencers, Richard talking about how to validate and things like that. These are like late stage signs of this shit is about to happen, right?
Yep.
So did this like go in, right? So like, what else would you say? Do you think the AMM fixer bot? Do you think that's like, if the V3 comes out and that's there, dude, it's on, like that, like it's so close, you know? Because we want to kind of gauge how close it is, because these markets are crazy and volatile. The S&P can go dump tomorrow, sink everything with it. You know what I mean? And we don't want to be sitting at a loss waiting, because that sucks. That's not fun. We like sitting on USD and watching it collapse and feeling like we're Wolf of Wall Street. We're smart. So tell me, do you think if we get V3, which I'm expecting in March, before the end of March, if we get V3 before, and it has the AMM, that's it. Like, it's coming. But if it doesn't, it might be a little bit longer, and maybe expect volatility. Is that, would that be your?
I think Richard's streaming from your house. I think I see your background, and when he's back on the throne, wherever that is, and he says, here's how a validator works. Here's what your hardware requirement would be. Here's the fact that you're not going to lose money because your internet or your power goes down. Like, when he's making that content about the decentralization of a proof of stake network, the same that Ethereum people have to deal with right now. Like, when he's making that content, I think we're very close, extremely close. Now, I think he should be doing it, me personally, should be doing it when testnet is available to go to the website and start participating, because other people are going to say, uh, here is the protocol and how it can reward me because I'm going to stake or lock up or whatever the mechanisms are. But there's going to be a whole separate group of people like Gamma DevOps or myself or whatever that will say, if single side staking of PLS isn't available other than validating, I need to be a validator and I need to understand my risk and my benefit of being a validator. Like, I want to see more of that content, because we're not a BSC proof of stake modified hybridized fork anymore. We are Ethereum 2.0, and we are, like you just said, your unstaking rewards, things like that. That's going to be on the Shanghai, but until then, he could still launch. He could still launch the test net and the main net, and just explain to people, here is your different mechanisms of securing the network, ROIing your current stack, playing the ping pong game between these different products of PHEX, HEX, PLSX, incentive token. Like, there's 5 or 6 things that are directly because of him or his team's development. And then there's going to be side games where people are still going to speculate on, hey, maybe I should participate in this other protocol that has a never sell narrative around it. Like, there's going to be so much like interest from the existing community and new faces that you've never seen before, because the influencer gates are falling. You see, what is his name? Versalis. There's another guy, another influencer guy that's in the greatest of stakes opening scene. Like, Hex is a scam. Like, that's him, right? And now he's like, hey, I'm neutral about it. His whole narrative has changed. Same thing we've seen and echoed across Windy O or BitBoy or Ivan on Tech or whatever. These are other influential personalities that have said that they are playing the PLS game as far as their speculation or their sacrifice narratives. They've said those things. So, like, I think that the potential, again, if we have become savvy over the past 3 years of Hex existing, and our fortitude and our investment thesis has played out well, then we're in a great position. And so, learning from people like yourself that have observed the market and different coins and different macroeconomics, and the fact that these are leveraged positions on top of the tech sector of stock, or the Fed Reserve basically moving markets, and creating bubbles. Like, these are important bits of information. So I'm glad that it's coming to a head.
Yeah, and I did okay. It feels bad, man, buying 2.8 cents and missing the bottom. But dude, I sold 45 cents on this channel, and I bought 2.8 and I bought 4.5. So that's good enough for me. Like, I didn't actually catch the whole top either. Like, that's pretty close, and I'm down.
That's like you have 12 times as much capital to redeploy, and you can choose your entry and exit points, along the way. So, like, I am not a trader, and I have seen myself even play early in the days of Hex, try to say, oh, well, this is a good opportunity for me to get out, and then I'll get back in and try to play those dip games. But then I'll check back, when I think that the dip is over or whatever it might be, and now it's time to buy back in, and I already missed the price. So I started just staking, only staking, and caring about, like, instead of playing the price game, I really have, like, I look at the endpoints now. I look at, what's going to happen with PLS and PLSX. And because of my body of experience in Hex ecosystem, I'm going to treat PLS and PLSX differently than even I did early in the first days of Hex. Same thing with, like, the staking habits. When we were making staking ladders, so many people had to and chose to early in stake before big payday, because it made sense once it was understood what we had been doing. There's people that had daily stakes, that were on a daily basis. They were going to have to be back at their computer and unstake and restake or cash out on a daily basis. And the narrative seemed interesting at the time, which was, oh, I want to make sure that my bank account has a daily deposit. I'm like, dude, you're going to be sending money from crypto daily to your bank account to spend on like a credit card or something? What are you doing? Like there's a lot of that history that we had. And so like we have become the ones that have stuck around for the past 3 or 4 years, that you see, consistently, they either learned through their own hard knocks or they learned from observing other persons in this ecosystem. So yeah.
Yeah. And the way I've taken, sorry, I don't know if I'm interrupting, but when I take profit, the way I take profit is okay. So I have not onboarded into cryptocurrency since 2017. I've only pulled out. It's been a cash cow for me. I did get lucky, a little bit. So for me, when I cash out, I only cash out when I have a lifestyle upgrade, like I take that dream trip. I fixed my teeth, bro. Like my teeth were so gnarly, man. It looked like I was like eating raw raccoons or something. Like I fixed my teeth. That's a lot of money. I bought supercars. Like, I bought a house. I got a big house and shit. And like because crypto is always gonna hurt you. Like you could sell and it's gonna go up. Like I was DMing with a friend today and he was so distraught. He had to make a sell and he was up 4x on a pretty big amount. And he's like, crap, this sucks. I'm like, dude, crypto is the only place where you get hurt after 4x or, like it goes down and you held, so you're always going to get hurt. You got to divorce your feelings from it. You got to be cold and calculated. When I sold 65K, it went to 69K. I got a lot of DMs. And I was like, I you know what I did? I went and bought an R8 with cash. And I was like, well, I'm buying this thing because I always wanted one. It's a baby Lamborghini, it's like, it's whatever.
I saw you doing donuts. You got donuts in your driveway or something.
Yeah, it was. So I just built a new house and like new neighbors, new neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it was snowy and I took the R8 out and I was doing donuts. It's on my Instagram. You can check it out. But so that's my lifestyle upgrade. So like when this thing runs away from me, I'll be like, but I got an R8 though. And I got a house though. And I'm doing okay. That's what, otherwise, why are you pulling out? There's no sense in it. Remember the parabola theory. If you take one thing away from this stream, remember the parabola theory. There's the parabola right there. The bear market trend line.
Show your picture on screen so people can see it.
Oh shoot, yeah, and then we got to ask Big Payday's question, and then we're gonna get out of here because I'm
Big Payday, and there's another guy that was up earlier. I think it was TD. He was saying, how could he become a member? I think it's just the join button on YouTube.
Yeah, you can join. If you hit the join button, you get a logo and stuff like that. You can join, but just buy one of the WoofPack NFTs instead. That'll be a way to support this channel, and then I'm gonna be shilling them, and hopefully, they're gamified and things like that.
Yep.
There's a lot of work left to do in them. Just proof of concept. Like I said, I'm not out here trying to just put out a sticker pack. I'm out here trying to make a gamified NFT pack. But anyways, long story short, I'm going to jump into just remember where we're at in the market. Why you sell. We just broke out of this parabola. This is what happened last time. Sure, we got a dip. And this is what happened the time before that. So anyways, with that, I'm going to answer Big Payday's question. So funny, Jim, let me ask you this. A lot of guys in my chat and stuff, they love XRX. They love Rex token. And I know it's like forbidden to talk about anything other than Hex for you. So if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. But I'm not trying to get you in trouble with the community,
Yeah.
But I like this token. It's kind of like, if Hex was like auditable and you were upgraded, it has some really cool like pumpamentals added to it. Yeah. I'm just trying to find XRX on here. What do you think about Rex? It's on BSC. I don't think it's a competitor. It could be like a complement to it, to Hex. What are your thoughts of that? I do want while I pull up the chart.
If I think so, I'm not negative about new people bringing new ideas. Let me just say that. The other thing is, as hard as it is to be not biased, my bias has always been Steve Jobs had enough balls basically to create a new product line in Apple and go against the known makers of
Mhm.
PCs. Love him or hate him, Satoshi did the same. You know, that's the go-to reference for Bitcoin as far as a named brand. You could say, you know, other people that have been, whether it's Roger Ver or other people early in the journey of Bitcoin, but really the first person you think of is Satoshi. Then when you think of Vitalik, you think of Ethereum. When you think of Cardano, it's linked to Charles Hoskinson, right? So you have references. And when you think of Hex, you think of Richard, right? And we do want to evolve, be above and beyond Richard in the future. Like that's a necessary thing. Bitcoin was able to do it. Like they still reference Satoshi, but like the community thrives long after Satoshi's
and
participation,
and
right?
his ideology and
Yeah,
his
ideology.
yeah, like it's a legend that lives
Yeah.
on.
So there's a catalytic character is my point. So if it doesn't have to only be Rex, if something else wants to launch and they say, hey, I've got this thing and I like this product protocol and I developed this protocol, but they're not putting face to it. They're not having open debate. They're not having gladiatorial battles. Then I can't think that it will go that much further than the first mover, right?
Mhm.
Um, maybe that's just, I'm sure it's just my bias, but like I invested in 2017 into something and the founder or CEO was more milquetoast personality and always like, you know, way too not aggressive enough in general. Like, you know, I've met Larry Ellison from Oracle and you know, Steve Jobs and all these other kinds of personalities in the tech sector. And you can be like, everyone wants to get along and maybe have some traction, but if you're still anonymous and you're really not a reference point, cultural reference point, it's really hard to get launched, in my opinion. So
Mhm.
Rex right now, as far as I understand, I have heard the name before. I think it's something to do with the similar tokenomics of Hex, and maybe there's a no OA or there's no, you know, outrage marketing kind of person as the figurehead. But to me, that's a limiting thing instead of a feature, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Hex on BSC, but updated. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about it. I did do like went down the rabbit hole on it about a year ago, and I liked it. You know what I mean? So my take is, are you inspired by Hex, but a totally different code? Yeah, I mean, it is inspired by Hex on BSC, is what I would say. Yeah, it's the
Is it a virulent, evangelistic, cultish supporters putting face to camera and streaming?
I don't know, man, but all these guys are really cool. That's the thing. It's like all these guys that are Rex dudes, they're like these German guys in my chat, and they're
Yeah,
like the core of they're like the core of the WoofPack. You know,
yeah,
they're
love
like,
it.
yeah, they're just like down to earth cool guys. I talked to Thomas Rex personally on this channel, you know.
That's nice.
Cool, based, awesome dudes, you know. So I don't know.
They're public figures. I don't know enough about them, honestly.
Pseudo, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's
so
not the
this
same. That's not the same. It's not the
it's not
same.
no,
It's just
so
not.
this whole slide right here is because the AA lobby had a lottery every day. So the lottery winner would do, you know, and now that
Is
it's
that, is
over,
that
you can
did
see.
Wise do the same thing? I think Wise had like a lottery thing every day.
I don't remember. I never did Wise. What did I do? I did one of the hex forks and got a 33x, but I forgot which one it was. It was like one of the third ones. It's like the third, whatever, the
Was
third
it
one.
the pyramid? Or not the pyramid. What was the one that had the Hex 3 or something? What was that one? I can't remember what
I
it
don't
was.
remember, but I only put like I think I put like 2 ETH in it and I got like 66. And
Was
that
it
was like
was it
when
was
ETH
it
was like
shrimps? Were you
120.
making Hex shrimps? Were you shrimp farming?
No, it wasn't that one. But I made like I made 33x on it. And
That's nice.
I was kind of one of the bigger wallets off too. I just like somebody linked it to me because they hate hex, and they're like, look, another hex, blah blah blah. So what I did was I put 2 ETH in it, and they were like 120 at the time, something like that. I put 2 ETH in it, and then I sent them the screenshot, and then I sent like some stupid meme just trolling them, and then totally forgot about it. And then they messaged me. They're like, dude, did you look at that? I'm like, holy crap, I'm 33x. And I messaged them. I'm like, watch this. I'm going to dump the I dumped the shit out of it because it had no liquidity. And I'm like, watch this. And I dumped it. And then we were just memeing back and forth. But that was the only like hex fork that I did. That's but anyways, crazy. Man, we gotta wrap this up. Hey, man, Big Payday, thanks, or Mr. Big Payday, thank you, man, for the big payday. Hey, man, name checks out. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
As we wrap up, let me make this last comment.
Please do.
So again, I like your friendship. I enjoy our back and forth. So, you know, always like I'll call you out, you call me out, kind of things. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
I like supporting people that are. You know, they've got their finger on the culture of crypto in addition to macroeconomics. I think that helps the narrative. It helps me at least feel more confident in the information they provide. I think you do a great job about that. I said something, I was on a stream yesterday and it was with, I think ATX crypto. And I was saying, you know, the sound was kind of wrecked, but outside of the sound, it was a nice stream. Somebody was asking something about NFTs recently. And what I like about NFTs is I think of it as marketing budget. If I was tipping someone back in Telegram days and we had this bot where you could tip through crypto on Telegram, that was because I wanted to support that person and I was willing to, you know, basically do so through that mechanism. If I've done super chats in the past, it's the same thing. I'm supporting the commentator, right? And it usually is because they're more data driven. They're not just hype cycle people. So like when it comes to the NFT, the WoofPack NFT, I think of it as marketing budget, support the channel, that kind of stuff. I really don't think of it, me personally, NFTs as Superman comic book #1 that's going to go to 100 grand. Like I don't think of that kind of thing when it comes to the collectible myself, but I certainly want to, and I will, when Pulsechain goes live and when I can dox myself comfortably, I'll dox myself by buying off the market, whatever the marketplace is, some of your NFTs. So I like your pitch. I like what you're doing in general. I like your channel and your content. And, you know, I'm just saying, you know, when it goes live and I'm comfortable with being doxed, then I'll support you that way.
Dude, I just really, really appreciate all the kind words and stuff. I mean, you're really the only one that like through it all, you know, like I just started making videos and then putting them into the ether. Like I really didn't have any friends in the industry. I didn't have anything like is so great. I like the WoofPack, you know, like the guys in our Telegram, my guys, we're so tight knit, you know, we're there from like the beginning, like we're the underdog in the underdogs, you know? So yeah, the WoofPack NFTs things is great. So like, if you want to like support me, like support the crypto weekly review project of like being based, telling it like it is, making money, you know what I mean? Getting in, getting out in good times in the market. And eventually, you know, I can't wait to make these streams with you later, but eventually retiring from what you have, your job in the matrix, right? Basically retiring from that and becoming you know, like that, like everybody wants to pursue the things that they love and not necessarily just drinking martinis all day on a beach, but going out and pursuing your passions and making money off that and finding who you are in life and having true freedom, because that's what money really is. Money is just freedom to go where you want, freedom to be with who you want, and freedom to have the things that you want, you know? So that's what this whole community is about, is we're trying to time these markets. We're trying to make sound investment strategies with data, do it in an entertaining way, laugh, meme, troll. It's the internet. You're going to get trolled if you're on the internet, you know? And that's kind of like that's what this whole thing is about, you know. It's like we're getting on board to like, bro, we sold the top and, you know, close enough to the bottom, right? And we're gonna ride this thing up smart, and hopefully with your help, you know, because I look up to you in a lot of ways, you know, like try to become independent from basically the matrix BS job, have enough money, to live off the interest, get $2-3 million together, try to live off 5% off of that. Meanwhile, have your crypto portfolio and get ready for the next cycle. Stay informed on what the new trends are. Get in there early. Everybody who's watching this is early in the cycle. Remember the trend line. Whenever you think about anything, just remember the parabola and how it's broken and what happened last time. Remember this and be like, dude, you guys are already here early. You got to I want to set us up in a position to where we can get out of the BS but stay in the market and keep spotting the trends, So, and this is hard too, like I do a lot. I do a lot of research, I spend a lot of time on this. I work the chats. I DM with people. I don't ask them for money. You can join my Telegram. It's in the description. It's free. Come hang out, add to it, be valuable, and be part of it, be part of the clique. And so the WoofPack NFTs, I don't want them to be just like some kind of money grab or something. So, like I definitely
you're building in game theory. It's not only an image
theory
and popularity. There's some things that you're doing with it.
We're using AI, and we're gonna it's kind of like the leading edge, like AI generated NFT mints, gamified, not just JPEGs. So like we're trying to do a lot. It's taking a while, and this is all hard because like I'm studying, processing, analyzing, creating the content, you know what I mean? And then I'm working on these NFTs on the side. So it's definitely not easy. So like having like support for the channel as far as like just buying an NFT, you don't have to send me, I don't have a donation address. I don't want any of that. I'll provide you value to support me. And that's just the kind of person that I am. I don't want anything, like I already made it. Like I already have crypto. I have a portfolio. I have money. I don't need your money, but this is a lot of freaking work. You know what I mean? So if I can like get out of the rat race myself, like I'm trying to this cycle, I'm trying to ride this bitch up to the point where, like I bought supercars, I bought a house, I did all that. What I need now is freedom. I'm trying to gain my freedom in this cycle. So that's why I'm telling you, I'm like, dude, if this is true, if we're only breaking the parabola and this is going to happen, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And on this channel, with your help, we're going to figure out how to manage this money in the real economy, in the real world, keeping a crypto portfolio, obviously, for the next cycle, but to be able to live off of it and sustainable and do be this, you know what I mean? So that's where this channel is going, so if you want to be part of the ride, join the Telegram. We're going to learn through this together. We're going to ride this thing up together, and we're all going to try to freaking get out of the rat race together and do it in a way that's sustainable, basically become Funding Jim.
I don't know about that. I'm weathered, man. I've been around. But anyways,
okay.
It's really, again, I love the show. I appreciate it. Anytime that there's a stream in the future, especially these movement events like Major Price or releases from Richard, people are going to make content. I saw Maddie had done 4 or 5 hours of a stream the night that Richard had tweeted. So anytime that you're going to do something like this, I'm happy to join you.
Yeah, dude. I always appreciate having you on, man. I appreciate your friendship and everybody in the chat. Thank you very much. Thanks you for coming, member Chaztown. Bro, I was saying don't become a member, just buy an NFT. Thank you though. It's very kind, man. I appreciate you. And love you guys, and we'll see you soon. I'll see you in the Telegram. Bye-bye. Peace.